You're all ready for the next session. So the next session is Chanakya Meeti for Leadership Success. For this session, we have Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai, author and director of Chanakya International Institute of Leadership Studies. I'm honored and privileged to be introducing Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai, who is a best-selling business author with 17 best-selling books on Chanakya, and he's the founder and director of Chanakya International Institute of Leadership Studies. He has advised over 500 organizations and has been conferred numerous awards. I welcome you, sir.
A warm good afternoon. Post-lunch session, dangerous. We are talking about Chanakya Meeti for leadership success. We wonder whether we are leaders or actually working with leaders to make them successful. Anyway, the good news is that I know my end time, 45 minutes. Okay, so let me quickly start. I like to attend these conferences not as a speaker, but to get insights what's happening in every industry. And I hope all of you came here for that. There's a saying, you learn more not from the lecture, but what happens outside the lecture. Like, cards exchange done? Cards exchange done? No. Let me tell you, don't go back home with a pile of cards. And then WhatsApp groups. Okay, today is a generation of over-networking. Over-information, isn't it? So it is not a generation where you had to meet and send spies. What is to typically called as market information. But we have gone beyond that, and let me tell you friends, what I'm going to share today has helped me personally across industries, and I'm going to share something which will be a takeaway. So with that, we'll come to the point, Chanakya Meeti for leadership success. How many of you believe that you are in a leadership role? People are having positions, okay. How many of you believe I'm working with leaders? Okay, so now the first question, who is bigger, the leader or the leadership guru? King ya kingmaker? Sure? So ठीक है, आपका choice है guru. For some it will be. I know my students come and say I don't believe in guru and all. Is it okay? No, thanks. Okay. I'll continue with this. So whether you chose to be a leader or a leadership guru, Chanakya will help you both ways. My students come and tell me, हमको guru नहीं बनना है. I don't have a position of a CEO, MD, chairman. Okay. So let us come back to our institute and our associate as internal auditors. Have you ever thought what is our key role? I'm not talking about HR job profiling. Have you ever thought what is our key role? If you can define that in one line or one word, then this session will help you to think further. What is the key role of an internal auditor? Catalyst, add value, okay. Awareness, assurance, yeah. Now, I know all these are right answers because I've learned from all of you only. On the lunch, I got so many insights. But I want to tell that, remember, there's two more words you should add. The feeling of control. Very important. Feeling of being under control. How many working mothers here? Many other, of course. Right? Tell me one thing. The effectiveness comes in when you are having the feeling of control what's happening at home, right? And it's not something very difficult. One phone call with a sense. अच्छा, बेटी ने खाना खाया, school से आ गई, correct? Does it make you more effective and productive in your office? Yes or no? So let me tell you, among all the things that you do, if you don't have that feeling of being under control and making the leader feel that everything is under control, we are not being effective. We have to be effective and efficient. But today's generation is not about efficiency, it's not about productivity, it is about effectiveness. So what is the difference between efficiency and effectiveness? Let me start from there. And Chanakya speaks about that a lot. Efficiency is actually a term that was very important in the industrial era, isn't it? Productivity, efficiency. So can you get a better output with less input, right? So the whole productivity depends. if we can have 5 workers and an output of 50 units, can we have 100 units with those 5 people, right? Or the other way around, let us only have 4 people and get 50 units output. That's where downsizing, right sizing, nice terminologies. But you have moved from a productivity and an industrial era to what is called a knowledge era, where your thought has to be more effective. And Chanakya speaks about a very different kind of a leader that he was and he wanted his students to be, that is called thought leaders. Remember, we get stuck up in tools and systems, but good tools and systems may not make you effective, isn't it? How many of you are gymming, going for a run and a jog? Everybody should, okay? Because after 40 that starts. And everybody is selling apps, right? Tell me one thing, will an app make you healthy? Of course, it gives you a feeling of control. Remember that? That I have done, it's measuring 10,000 steps a day, so many calories input, output. But by changing that tool, maybe an upgraded version, does it make you healthy? So let us understand that tools and techniques are important. And if you have a background of engineering and technical, you love that, right? Dashboards, and today so many graphs are there. But finally, that feeling that yes, I'm under control, I'm healthy is what is the role of a good internal auditor or leader. And with that, I would start by telling, only take away one word from today's session, and that is what Chanakya teaches the leaders. It is called Anvikshiki. How many of you heard about this? There are few people. But I never heard about it 20 years ago when I started studying Arthashastra of Chanakya. Historically, this word is very commonly used as the first subject for training leaders. Anvikshiki, what is this? Many people don't know it, but Chanakya calls it as Prathama Vidya. If you join any educational system, maybe a school or a college, in schools especially, they say a child is literate or educated if he has got 3 R's: reading, writing and arithmetic. Of course, writing is a W, but when you pronounce R. Reading, writing, literacy and counting, arithmetic. But Chanakya says no, that doesn't make a leader. Thinking makes you a leader. And we are not told to think. And our education system actually became an examination system, right? I don't know what is the current percentage of CA pass outs. And since I work very closely with friends like you, they say, is that the model? Just because you cracked an exam doesn't make you effective. I'm not saying it will not make you effective, but academic qualifications and cracking an exam is a starting point, maybe for your first job. But effectiveness is a long journey, right? So remember this word Anvikshiki, and I will give you a few takeaways. But before that, let me start with a small video on effectiveness in the real game. Anybody sports here? Sports players? And sports is a very, very interesting game of being effective. Any sport for that matter. So my request is if you can play a small video. It's a 1-minute video. Was he effective? Was he effective? Did he achieve the results? Well, let's debate the Indian way. Was it ethical? I don't know. How many of you feel what he did was ethical? Ethical. Was he ethical? How many feel he was unethical? See, not all of you. Huh? How many of you are not sure? And we have the largest literature in the world called Mahabharata, discussing ethical dilemma. क्या करे कि ना करे, ये कैसे मुश्किल है, और जो करता है उसको गाली देते हैं. Of course, there is an ethics, moral, and we have ethics committees also, right? My question is, not right or wrong. My question here is on strategy. Was it effective? Let's talk about the effectiveness at the next level. It was effective. Will it work second time? See, very important. Leadership is also about ethics and dharma and everything. But let us also understand, without effectiveness, you are not a leader, right? Did it work? Second time? Will it work first time with another team? Okay. Now let's again look at another dimension. Why was he effective? Huh? Culture. Okay. How many of you work in multinational companies here? Most of you. And by the way, multinational is an old concept, by the way. Correct? In fact, concept of a nation itself may dissolve. True? Just wait for another generation. Okay, we were all migrating within a country, right? Let me tell you, the biggest skill a leader should know in today's generation is called cross-cultural leadership. Cross, and if you are not able to get that, you will not be effective. Imagine you are posted in Germany working with a team of Germans. Possible? I'm sure already some of you may be in the room. Other way around. Okay, you are working in India with a team of Germans. Will be possible in next generation mein. So if you can understand lot of context, and here is one practical tip if you want to be an effective leader. Chanakya spoke about it 2400 years ago to the grandson of Chandragupta Maurya. Everybody knows the story of Chandragupta Maurya being trained by Chanakya, right? But his son, Chandragupta's son was Bindusar, and Bindusar's son was Ashoka. And the training that was given to Ashoka was, if you want to be effective, learn multiple languages. Make sense? Think about it. Huh? How to be an effective leader. Simple languages. And we are good at it, right? India mein to वैसे भी 18-20 languages are normal. Let me tell you why he said that. Imagine at Chandragupta's level, the strategy for being a good leader was fighting wars. Alexander came, this guy came, all this is fine. But by the time the war settled down, third generation said, don't think about wars alone. Be ready for war. I'm not telling it is not there. But can you be an effective? And I think most of the Indians know this, right? Look at the Gujarati and Marwadi communities globally. Isn't it true? वहाँ पे भी गुजराती छोड़ेंगे नहीं. Correct? लेकिन local language में समा जाएंगे, as they say. So this is joke that is happening in UK. I'm not talking about the economic angle. I was there much before Brexit and pandemic and all that. I was addressing a community of Gujaratis. And they told me something interesting. Chai pe charcha? Lot can happen over a coffee and a tea. So they told me, who got the habit of tea and coffee to India? The British, right? And Indians were smart. Across generations, the staple drink of India was actually milk and milk products. Correct? So it could be doodh, dahi, makhan, whatever. More, chas, matta in Maharashtra, whatever. So every house had this as stable diet. And then if you look at the economic model, they come in for trading of commodities, including tea and coffee, right? And of course, I don't want to go into the history of tea trials. They introduced. Indians are smart. They accepted tea, but they did not leave milk. Correct? And that's why we are the only country dono mix karke peete hain. Why do you mix up milk? With or without, right? What does it mean? That learn new languages, but don't forget old languages. So if you can go back to a Tamil or a Sanskrit, believe me, it's very insightful. The traditional secrets of leadership in our culture is actually written down in Sanskrit and of course Tamil. Tirukural, Mahabharata, Ramayana, Artha Shastra. So I would say that if you can go back to our own ancient wisdom, which I'll be talking about a little bit today, believe me, you will become effective. And I'll tell you in Hindi, there's a saying that, दादी माँ का ज्ञान जो होता है, the wisdom of your grandmother comes in muhavras. You know what is muhavras? Short way of communicating wisdom in a light manner. In some way it's called dohas. You know, so this is, in some film dialogues also you can say, kurals are small, right? Couplets, shlokas. But that little wisdom has got huge concentrated experience of generations. Put sometimes in a funny manner, sometimes in a strategic manner, but they are very effective. Since I come from Mumbai, I will use one very interesting strategic time management tool given in a muhavra. Maharashtrians here, or at least can understand Marathi. Others I'll translate it. ज्या गावात जायचं नाही, त्याचा रस्ता विचारायचा नाही. If you don't want to go to a particular village, why are you asking the road towards it? Do we do that? या गावात जायचं नाही. If you don't want to go there, why are you asking? No, I want to gather information. फालतू. Another one. जिसे ढूंढा गली गली, घर के पिछवाड़े मिली. Looks funny, but very deep, right? What I was searching across the whole world, I found it right below, maybe behind my house. There's a book called Alchemist. Have you read that? Yes. The whole story is this one line. He's sitting there and finally finds the treasure there only. So let me tell you, if you want a new idea, read old books. If you want new ideas, read. I don't want to even tell you about books. I want to tell you about one word only in the remaining half an hour that I have. Anvikshiki. If you can't pronounce it, it's okay. Bolta na, every expert starts as a beginner. I also never knew it. But I loved the word so much because it's a very concentrated word, which I'll try and decode for you. But I loved it so much that my daughter's name is Anvikshiki today. Itna pyar karne lag gaya. So let me just tell you, this is a very interesting leadership word. I don't want to get into qualities of leadership and lectures on that. There's different, time for that. 3 things. Anvikshiki can be used in 3 things. I'll give you the steps. 1 word, 3 takeaways over lecture. What is the word Anvikshiki? What does it mean? If you translate it, it's called Anvekshan, the ability to investigate. You know what is CBI full form? Central Bureau of Hindi में अनुवाद करे तो, if we can translate that, Kendriya Anvekshan Bureau. Kendriya, the ability to investigate. That's what they do, supposed to do. Any Malayalis here? You may not be aware, we use this word very commonly in Malayalam. Anveshiക്കുക, enquire, observe. So as professionals, aren't we supposed to do Anvikshiki? And let me tell you, in the olden days, we had to send spies to get information. Today, Mr. Google and ChatGPT is there, right? The problem of our generation is not information. The problem of our generation is which is the right information. True or no? And therefore, we say we have an information pollution. So, Anvikshiki tells you information is a must, but information is not enough. So what is Anvikshiki? 3-step process of building strategy for leadership. Remember these 3 words, and you can go on reading books on this. Anvikshiki, what is it? Chanakya defines it in book number 1, chapter number 2, sutra number 3. Reference for those who are interested. Because we are so logical, more than Shraddha we want Praman. Tell me, where is the proof? It is not Radhakrishnan Pillai's theory at all. It is there, Disha Dhunda Gali Gali. So Anvikshiki is a combination of Sankhya, Yoga and Lokayata. Just remember this. What is Sankhya? It's a philosophy, Bhagavad Gita chapter 2. It's a combination of Sankhya, Yoga and Lokayata. It's a mindset the leader should have to develop Anvikshiki. How do you do that? Sankhya. If you want to build strategy, you should know numbers. Clear? Data, isn't it? If you don't have data, you cannot build a strategy. You saw that video? Did you analyze the data in that split second? Data is a starting point of strategy, but data is not enough. True? So once you have data, you can start crunching the numbers. That's why every organization leader should be good in numbers. I'm not telling you have to be good in maths. If you have both the combination, you are deadly. What is, number crunching? I find this in a lot of Marwadi communities. Have you seen that? They're extremely good in numbers. It's not about education qualification, isn't it? They can sense numbers, isn't it true? And there's a very famous story about the hero Honda, Munjal sir. That was a generation of, productivity, efficiency combination. So one day what happened is that he was, having this target in your factory that let's say, 100, let's say cycles should be produced. That was the optimum utilization of the capacity of the factory. But you used to get these reports and saying that we are only producing 80. Tell me one thing, as a leader, what will you do? Your full capacity is 80 and your actual output is 80. So full capacity is 100, actual output is 80. What will you do? Call the production manager and write a report. So he told him, and production manager started giving excuses. Listen, whatever you want, I'll help you. But I want 100 out of 100. Make sense? Second day, again 80. Third day, again 80. What should be the target on the third day? What should be the target on the third day? Simple maths, huh? First day, instead of 100, they made 80. Second day, they made again 80. In spite of all the warnings and support. Third day, the target is supposed to be 100. But what's the actual target? 140. True? Simple numbers. And still he was not performing. You know what he did? He actually called the watchman. 6 baje factory band hoega, band kar do. Lock it up. And they will all, right? They'll, ghar pe jana hai. Kuch nahi. And you will give me a call. And saying that, wo production manager ko phone karne ko bolo. Tell the production manager to give me a call. And the production manager, sir, 6 baj gaya. I was 6 baj gaya nahi. I also understand that number. Sankhya. But my number is 140. Sir, OT dena padega. That's your problem. Till it's 140, you will not go out. They work towards till 2 o'clock in the night. They paid OT also. Achieved 140. Good or bad? Technically, I don't know anything. But I understand one simple thing, 140. Next day, 6 baje, वापस बंद. Sir, 90 हुआ. दरवाजा बंद. 10 o'clock तक काम किया, 100 प्रोड्यूस किया. Make sense? Third day, 6 o'clock, 100 output. Possible? See, the sense of numbers is so important. It is not doing calculation. Sometimes we get so much into details of number, we lose the large picture. While counting the trees, don't forget the forest. While counting the trees, don't forget the, so big picture numbers, Sankhya. Yoga, now that's very important. Of course, yoga has become Yogasanas now. And of course, we have a text of Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Baba Ramdev has a company on that name also. I'm not talking about that. Yoga is a sthiti of the mind. Whatever be the numbers, keep your mind calm and quiet at equilibrium level. Like your target, arey my goodness, itna kaise hoga? Sales team go through it, right? And you are achieving targets and it's very big. You know the numbers, but you don't know the strategy. Strategy comes after knowing the numbers with a calm and quiet mind. Strategy comes after knowing the numbers. Without numbers, you can't build strategy, but only numbers can be dangerous. Cricket lovers here? Okay. World record, let's go. I'm not talking about India-Australia match. Actually, we lost it because of a second point. We are not stable, isn't it true? Imagine what is starting, 0 for 1. We could have made all of them out at 75. Possibility to Thana. So I'll give another match. Remember that 400 chasing, the second, what was the number? 434. And who won the match? Possible at the starting point. But I don't know whether you heard the captain's strategy after that. Very clear. And to tell you something very interesting. See, I know the numbers, very difficult. हम नंबर सोच के हार जाते हैं. 435 in 50 overs. I don't know, 50 था कि 60 था. You know what the captain did? He called his team and said, don't worry about 435. That's my problem. You just achieve 100 runs in the first 10 overs. Possible? If you are able to achieve 100 runs in the first 10 overs, you will be able to get 435 or ज़्यादा. किया कि नहीं किया? But that depth doesn't come without a calm mind. Everybody is worried 435, 435. रुको भैया. You just focus on two numbers. 10 overs, 100 runs. And they got it there. Pardon? See?
That's what he told the team in between the lunch break. Don't worry about 435. Actually, that 20 runs short, the way the things will play.
Absolutely. So you see, numbers is starting point. I'm sure all of you are number crunchers. You work with numbers, but that is not enough. You need to look at what is the strategy that comes from a calm and quiet mind. But the third is very important. Many of us have all this, heard about motivational speakers, and many put me also in that category. And I say, I'm not a motivational speaker, I'm a strategic thinker. Farak hai. And that's what the third aspect of Chanakya is called Lokayata. Make a practical plan. Don't just make a visionary plan, that is important, but it's also be Lokayata. Lokayata means worldly wise. Like for example, if you look at, let's say a pandemic. Okay, suppose you are a leader of an organization, a company, a country, an institution, whatever it is. Let's say you come to know, okay, 10 out of your people, out of 100, have got virus or they have been affected by coronavirus. What will you do as a leader? What did you do when it happened? First lockdown, second lockdown, third lockdown. What did you do? Depends on what you did. So some people say, चलो 10 जन को हो गया तो remaining 90 को भी हो जाएगा. बंद करो, right? And then very easy to blame the government. It's a rule coming in. Nothing wrong in that. That's one way of looking at it. Second way says, okay, 10% has got affected, but can we look at how the 90 people should not get affected? True or no? That's one way of looking at it. But the focus is that, can we be still productive with 90 people? And therefore a new model came out, work from home. True? And many people have this debate. Work from home is good when you're working with a laptop. But if you work in a factory, anybody who has managed a factory in pandemic? Let me tell you, it is not about the factory or the nature of your business. It's the leadership call. I'll not name the company, but I know this. This is a plant manager. And that plant had 800 employees. South India. I'll not tell the company's name again. You know what he did? So, a lot of people were getting affected and all the rules wise, take care, hand wash and all that. You know what he did? See how yoga comes in practically. He took a team meeting. He had, the HODs, सबको बुलाया. Then he asked him, production तो रुकना नहीं चाहिए. So that's the call. But let's also be compliant to what the government says. Internal compliance of getting your all that sanitary things, hygiene, everything is taken care, right? We have extra budgets, we'll manage all that, But the biggest compliance happens where? Suppose you're running a factory. Bolo? No, it happens in the police department. Make sense? Well, the police is on rounds, right? तुम्हारा factory में कैसे लोग आते हैं? बंद करो. See how strategic thinking at the practical level. I can run a factory, but the government will not allow me. And the face of the government for me is the local police department, right? You know what he did? He called up the local police station. Sir, I want to come and having a meeting with you. Make sense? He went over there and saying, sir, how's the factory with 800 people? Of course I know. I'm supposed to be taking care of all of you. So don't tell me information which I already know. What's your problem? I'm working. Essential services, police department, right? So, sir, we are also in essential services. We are also in essential services. Well, no, you're not. You better shut it down. Sir, understand one thing. Do you get salaries? Yes, because of us. Because of us. Make sense? So, we want your support. Then, can you come down for half an hour to a factory and together can we make a plan? Make sense? So, the police head came down. They had another meeting with the HODs and they said, sir, you tell me what to do. You know what was the plan? Only I will allow 200 people to come and I will watch for the next 7 days. 800 में से 100 people नहीं आ सकते because they are affected with their family. I will only apply 200. Is it a good start? with the compliance being taken care. The police says, okay, I can permit 200, you have to give me a report every day. Make sense? Second day, third day, after 7 days, they realized they were under control. He goes again with a report, daily reports, not only to the head office, but to the police department. A plant manager can do that, right? Of course, with all the approvals and all. Then he goes to the next week and say one more plan. Sir, can we allow another 100 people? See, all clear hai. ठीक है. Think about lokayata. It's not easy. That's why you require advisors. And the best advisors can actually come from number 2. You know, the problem with number 1 is that they never listen to number 2. I just came from Baroda. You know, we have this great story of the Maratha Empire, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. He was effective because of his number 2 was good. Tanaji, all those stories. Baroda is a story of Maratha Empire. Ahilya Bai Holkar, if you are from Indore. Jhansi Ki Rani. So your number 2 is more under control. And I'm not telling you breaking the rules, but understanding the rules to achieve the goals. Manisthiti or paristhiti mein farak hai. I'll give another example. How, you know, we actually got counter-attacked by the foreigners in this. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was once asked, do you believe British have the policy of divide and rule? He said, no, we divide ourselves and they rule. So during those days, there's one good thing about sports. I love sports as a strategy example. India was unbeatable in hockey. Pre-independence era. Remember all the Dhyan Chand stories? And we also won many golds. There's a movie also on that, right? So Europeans will say, "Arey, ye kaisa hai?" They sent a team, information gathering, spies. ये Indians को ऐसा क्या है जिसके वजह से they always win? So they surprisingly studied the whole thing and they went and reported. Internal audit report. We cannot beat Indians in hockey. Because, you know, they're too good, the practice and all those things. They say this team is useless. They're not giving us strategy, they're giving us a report. Understand the difference. Don't give reports, give strategies. Move beyond what you're doing. So they sent another team. They went, they started going in detail. They say, no, the devil and the God, both is in the, what do they eat? खाने को कुछ नहीं है इस country में. What do they wear? Do you have better shoes? No. Do they have better hockey sticks? No. What is it that? They studied the ground. And the second team also reported. We can't beat Indians in hockey. But the leader sitting over there, what are maybe some Olympic committee chairman, not happy. I want to make sure I will achieve this result of beating Indians. Third team gaya. Pura study kiya. And then the report was unique. So we can't beat Indians in hockey if they are playing on grass. The chairman was smart enough. समझ गया strategy? Those who got it, got it. We can't beat Indians in hockey on, so let's change the rules of the game. तभी से लेके hockey was started being played on turf. We started losing it. Of course, in between we won, I think, 1 goal. But in an economic situation, the idea is to get the insight. So, come on, Sankhya, Yoga, Lokayata. I'll tell you one more example, a real practical example of the corporate world. And you know, during those particular days, especially pandemic, many companies have shut down also and gone up also. Isn't it true? Same industry. It was not what was happening around. It was whether you had the feeling of control. So you know the story of supermarkets. At one end we have D-Mart, and other end we have Big Bazaar, right? Same situation. D-Mart started working 24/7. I stay in Mulund in Mumbai. कहाँ पे गया? Forget that industry. You can be semi-organized also and still achieve your results with strategy. I'll give you an industry. In the first lockdown, it was not called essential services. Chasma, optics. All the industries like banking, the government departments were working. And this opticians, their छोटा shop है ना सब बंद है. Second lockdown happened. You know what they did? They came together. And they went to the government and saying that, you cannot make a shutdown. Why? We are essential services. How come you're not essential services? We'll prove it to you. Suppose somebody is working in a bank. और उसका चश्मा टूट गया. Can he work? And I know the association president. They actually clubbed together, 300 shops came together, made an appeal. And in the second lockdown, believe me, they were allowed to open officially. Make sense? So whether it's essential or no, who decides? You have to logically prove it. Third lockdown, no problem. Their business grew. I'm sure some of you. And there was a company which became a unicorn. Lenskart. Started when? When was the peak? You study. If you are interested in reports, it's all there. But the idea is that Sankhya, Yoga, Local. Know your numbers, but don't just get frightened by numbers. But the third thing is, did you achieve the results? Did this guy achieve the result in the game? Was he effective? Did he have to invest extra? No. The whole idea is that, we always look at effectiveness coming from input of more capital. That's only one method. Let us start using new machines, or new processes, new apps, new technology. And today तो AI के बिना कुछ होता ही नहीं है. Machine learning, I'm not against it. Upgrade yourself to the latest. But effectiveness is a different ball game. You can make the same person productive without an investment, but still you require strategy. So let me just wind up with 3 takeaways. Remember, this word Anvikshik is a combination of Sankhya, Yoga and Lokayata. So what are the 3 takeaways? Number 1, you have to start with data collection. I think most of us know this. Correct? Information collection, data collection. In fact, I work with the Indian Armed Forces. We work on strategy at different level. You know what they say? There is a word they use called military intelligence. Correct? I'm sure market intelligence, whatever. But what is military intelligence? Data, kitne log hai, kya hai, and all those stuff. But there is the starting point. You don't have to do data collection. That's not a leader's job. Data collection is not a leader's job. It's the team's job. Correct? So if you're heading a sales team, you should know the numbers. But do you collect the numbers? No. You actually collect it through your team, isn't it? Or your office. The second step is what Chanakya says. After data collection or after the report comes, the leader's job is the second step, analyze. The time you spend on analyzing is more important after the data collection. And that's where you become a leader. So if you have any particular work that you have done, you have the data report, analyze it. And Chanakya says this very nicely. The ability to look at what is not being shown. That's an insight you should get. The ability to see beyond numbers. Numbers are a reflection of something bigger. In the seed, there is a forest. In the seed, there is not a tree. In the seed, there is a forest. And that insight is what makes you an effective leader. And the third and the most important thing is that you should, after analysis, make an action plan. If you don't make an actionable plan, which is practical and effective and result oriented, you are not a leader. I've seen, since I teach in some of the best institutions in India, IIM IIT guys have been told to leave the organizations after 3 months of recruitment. I'm sure all of you know this. So the most intelligent, so-called intelligent person is not effective. And average people are more effective, right? How does it happen? Yes, data is important, no doubt, but analysis of the leader and making an action plan. How do you make an action plan which is very clearly effective? So let me stop with a story over here so that you can say it is not an old theory, it can be applied today. But I'll have to tell you an old story. Remember, we are talking about Chanakya. Who was Chanakya? Not a king. He did not have his own army. Correct? And the person who was the biggest king with the largest army at that particular point of time was from the kingdom called as Magad, Dhananand. And Chanakya saw that this king is not an effective leader, so I'll have to create a new king. And that's where Chandragupta comes in. But remember one thing, Chandragupta is not yet a leader. So he doesn't have a leadership support of a young boy without a position. The topmost guy not supporting, not understanding. And that was a time when Alexander came to India. Bigger problem? और हमारा है ना इंटरनली झगड़ा करते रहते हैं. Internal auditors. So internally they are all fighting, and Chanakya then went to all these kings and said, listen, we have a big problem. It will enter and it will destroy us. So let's have a strategy to come together and fight Alexander. Nobody supported him. Because the more you think about ourselves, we don't look at the large picture. I hope we start thinking as an industry, not just as a company or an individual. And everything is interconnected. You know, what did Chanakya do? Anvikshiki. So nobody listening to him. But remember one thing, he started looking at what is my strength. My strength is my students, right? Chanakya was a teacher, right? You know what he did? He actually sent spies to the camp of Alexander. He's coming into India. He had almost defeated Porus, Sikandar Porus. But nobody knows after that what happened. So he sent the camp, and again, like our hockey story, they all come and report, information gathering. Sure, their numbers are larger than us. Sankhya, you can't do anything. Size, huge. Europeans, right? Came from Greece. Huge tall. Weapons better than us. So we have no chance of winning. ठीक है, एक काम करो. Next lot को भेजो. They came and said, sir, possibly नहीं है. Third lord says, wait, don't give me the same information again and again. So he sends what is called as Vishakanyas. Now he sends, girls, you go now. They came and said, and let me tell you, insight comes from a different way of looking at the same thing. Insight comes by looking at the same thing differently. And as we say, men and women see things differently. That's a nature's way of, creation also. So they come and said, reported to Chanakya and said, tell me about that army on the opposite side, our enemies. You know what the girls told him? Look at how we build a strategy. Said, in their eyes we could see pain of being away from the family for so many years. They have been continuously fighting. And he sent another group and verified it. Saying that, many times they were so tired, they've been fighting for 9 years. और अपने जैसा नहीं है, यूएस में 24 घंटे में पहुंच जाएगा फ्लाइट में. Even to go back, they require 7 months. But they were tired. They even told Alexander, we don't want to fight. We are tired, we want to go back to our family, our children, our wives, our daughters, sons are there. So they actually had that pain of being away from their family. And let me tell you friends, since we work with armed forces, that's not easy to understand. No? Because, we see movies and songs. Border में संदेशे आते हैं, क्या आते हैं? If you're away from your family, you can do it. I'm sure working people also know this. So the army has a new idea now. Wherever they get transferred, they have the family. Along with the family, there are schools and hospitals also, right? So the simple strategy was, if you have the family with you, you can work properly, right? Anyway, so he sees that and he says, okay, I got my strategy. What strategy? I don't have an army. They're a bigger army with better weapons, good leader, very inspirational. I saw their weakness. And the weakness was they want to go back to their families. He sent more girls. And reminded them कि आपके भी घर पे बीवी बच्चे हैं. They got demotivated. The biggest war that you win is without raising a weapon. Alexander went back and he died on the way. Effective or efficient? What is efficiency? You actually try to build up more capacity. There's a government department I work with and I feel very sad. Build your capacity. I said, sorry, build your efficiency. Can the same person hit more sixes? It is not about changing the bat alone or the pitch alone, right? So I just want to tell over here by stopping that, friends, as leaders, it's very important to understand the depth of thinking differently, strategically different. Since I have 1 more minute, I'll just stop with what is the corporate example of looking at the same thing in a different manner. We are working with a very interesting client. He was crying. He told, sir, हमारा धंधा अच्छा नहीं चल रहा है. क्या हो गया? Government ने ban कर दिया. क्या ban कर दिया? He's in the plastic industry. You know all the rules? I don't know if anybody is in the plastic industry. So I said, okay. But remember one thing, I will never suggest you something till I study it. Show me the numbers and everything. I went to his factory. And I found out something interesting. He is in plastic industry, but his product is very unique. Have you seen maybe a bottle? जैसे let's say thumbs up का bottle, उस पे plastic का wrapper होता है, isn't it? So he used to make those wrappers. So if you have a thumbs up or maybe a Limca, if it's a plastic bottle, correct? There is a wrapper, correct? And of course the bottle is also plastic. He never used to make the bottle, he used to make that wrap. Saying that what to do now, the plastic ban ho raha and all those things. And he said, you know what? You'll be surprised, you're not in the plastic industry. I said, sir, we are in the plastic industry for 25 years. So no, you're not in the plastic industry. Your positioning is different. You are in the packaging industry. Make sense? Same product, you look at it differently. You are in the packaging industry. Go and make a plan that you want to run as a packaging company. And do you know the benefits people have in the packaging industry? I don't know if you know this, the biggest problem that's happening right now in the packaging industry is Amazon versus the government of India. If you have ordered anything in Amazon, the more is the packaging that goes out, isn't it? Corrugated boxes. And now the government is saying you are only the people who are creating waste. Correct? छोटा सा 200 रुपए का सामान है और वो पैकेज उससे ज़्यादा है. And this guy's business grew 3 times after that. Same product, same machine, same workers. Effective or efficient? सांख्य योगा लोकायत अनिक्षिकी इति हि विद्याः इति चाणक्याः. Thank you so much.
Requesting Uma ma'am, President of IIA India, to give away a moment of honor.